To start working with channel operators, I made this as an example. It's a box rendered with line material. CHOPs, or channel operators, are a powerful technology that enables the processing of motion, audio, math, logic, MIDI data, numeric info and data streamed from / to devices and protocols. First, let's have a look at the parameters window. If you click on the name of fields it will opens, and then you see these colors. The blue one is for expressions. An expression in TouchDesigner is a text string that contains data. For example, this is an expression, abs_time.seconds. It will animate that field that increases the number based on time. I animated the Y rotation here. I can multiply the speed. Well, it's possible to use channel operators' data as expressions. The first chop I want to show is constant. It shows the number you entered in the parameters. You can add more constants. It's useful when you want to change several parameters with one controller. To use this number for the fields, you have to give it name first. I want to call it RY for rotate in Y-axis. Then turn on Viewer of the chop. And then drag and drop it to the field you want. A window opens. Click on Chop Reference. Now that field is following the chop. And you can change that number from the chop parameters. It won't work for me because this number is between 0 and 1, and it's not enough to see the rotation. So I type the number. As always, it's better to use null to make reference. You can see the expression will change like this. First the name of the chop, then the name of the channel. To avoid typing the rotation number, you can use a chop called math. It has several functions to adjust the input number and give an output number with the mathematical processes. From the Range tab, you can change the input range in the From Range field to an output range into range fields. For example, I had a constant with 0 to 1 controller. So it's the From Range. Then I want to specify the To Range. I enter 0 to 360 for a full circle rotation. Also, you can add a number or multiply it. The other channel operator that can generate data to use as expression is LFO. LFO stands for Low Frequency Oscillator that generates an oscillation based on the parameters. The default is moving like a sinus wave that goes from -1 to 1 continuously and smoothly. From its parameters, You can change the type of the wave and its speed. The other parameters work like a math chop. If I add a null and use it as the rotation expression, nothing happens again because I need math for proper numbers. Add math, and from the range tab, this time my input range is -1 to 1. And the output is 0 to 360. Now my box is rotating based on the LFO continuously. The other common chop is noise. It generates random numbers through the time. The parameters look like the SOP and top noises. You can transform the noise, or even use expressions for this channel operator itself. Constraint and its parameters allow the noise curve to start and or end at selected values. You can create many channels with simple patterns like Chan 1 to 20, which generates 20 channels from Chan 1 to Chan 20. A time slice is the time between the last cook frame and the current cook frame. Then it shows the number based on the chart on time. The select chop is used to select on channel from a chop with several channels like this I made before. Add select chop and enter the name of the channel you want to select while the chop is connected as input. Here I connect the output of select to the previous math I've made. Now my box is rotating randomly with the number of the noise. I want to select the second channel. So I connect the output of the second select to the math. Now I have an error here. Point to it and middle click to see the error. So let's have a look at the expression. It remained without change, but the channel has a different name. Even I assigned the same null. So, change the expression or reference the null again. The trail chop displays a history of its input channels back in time. A window of time is displayed from the current frame back in time. For example, see the constant number in time. These chops were generating numbers. Some chops are used to receive data from a device like keyboard. The first one is keyboard in. This chop receives data from keyboard. In the keys field, you can specify one or more keys to receive data from. The default is 1 on the keyboard, and when I press it, the value goes from 0 to 1. And if I connect the output to trail chop, you can see how it's changing. Similar to the previous chops, I can use the value as expression. For example, I did it for the draw points from the line material parameters. Now if I hold the 1 key on the keyboard, the value goes to 1 and it turns the draw points on. It's possible to modify the number that this chop is generating with several chops. The first one I want to show you is the lag chop. The lag chop adds lag and overshoot to channels. It can also limit the velocity and acceleration of channels. It makes the value change smoothly according to its parameters like this. Then I can add math to adjust the range from my usage. I added null to reference expression. This time to scale of the box. Now the number 1 key is assigned to the scale with some processes. As you see, the scale is changing when I press and hold the number 1 key. I have to adjust the range again. And I have this movement with keyboard. Then we have mouse and chop. The mouse and chop outputs X and Y screen values for the mouse device and monitors the up/down state of the 3 mouse buttons. It's possible to change the range of numbers. Again, you can select the channels with select chop and modify them separately to reference expression. For example, I use it for rotation and adjust the range. Now the box is rotating on Y-axis by moving the mouse. Attention to use proper inputs and numbers to get proper movement. Now the box movement is controllable with my mouse and keyboard. To use audio in your patch, first you need audio file in CHOP. The audio file in CHOP reads audio from files on disk or at http://addresses. File types .mp3, .aif, .aff, .o, and .wav files are supported. It always outputs time-sliced audio data. There are some parameters to control the audio and file parameter to choose your audio file. It has no sound because you need an audio device out. Then select the right audio device. Now you have the audio in your patch. To use the data, I select one channel. The Analyze CHOP looks at the values of all the values of a channel, and outputs a single number result into the output. The output is one sample long. It can analyze for maximum, average, peaks, and other aspects of a channel. The audio spectrum CHOP calculates and displays the frequency spectrum of the input channels. I use it before the analyze to analyze the data from the spectrum. I want the average number of it. Then math and null. I want to add a bit lag to have smoother numbers. You can see the result of the analyze and processes with Trail CHOP. So this is the number I'm getting from the audio. I use it for the scale of box now instead of keyboard key. It's very important to find a proper range, so take your time to find the right numbers for your purpose. You can see the box is reacting to the audio and is interactive with mouse cursor. Remember, there are other ways to get the data from audio signals that are a little advanced, like the OSC, and can be used to accept messages from either a third-party application which adheres to the Open Sound Control specification. Also, another video is available in the channel to make audio reactive with some more details and tools explained. If you are interested, have a look at that video. The MIDI in CHOP receives MIDI events from MIDI devices connected to the serial port. To connect your MIDI device, press Alt and D to open MIDI device mapper. Click on Create New Mapping and then select your device. The MIDI messages appear here by moving knobs on my MIDI controller, and the channels will be created automatically for each controller. And again, you can select each channel and modify them separately with math or so on, then add null and assign it. This time I used it for the size of the box, and now I can change the size with my MIDI controller. There are a lot of creative ways to use data from channel operators. For now, use these operators in your projects.